I usually just wander around Target and leave with like one random thing.
I try not to go in because it's so boring.
I liked it.
There's nothing neat in that store.
I like the Earth and Hand from Magnolia that they have in Target. I like the brand.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay.
I like the funny shirt.
You know Fixer Upper?
And
Do you know
I
Chef?
don't have kids.
Okay.
They do.
Call the meeting to order. We'll start with a pledge and a prayer led by Councilmember Larry Zimmerman.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we come before you and ask that your goodness and your mercy and your wisdom be upon each of us as we get ready to endeavor to do the city's business. We just pray that you would help us to make the right decisions that would benefit our community and that would help make our city proud and people envious of others that the fact that they live in our city. We ask these things in Jesus'
Approval of the agenda. You guys have any issues on the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Larry, second by Michael. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Citizen comments. Is there anybody that would like to say a few things? Yes.
So, my name is Jennifer Walk, and I currently reside at 14410 West Pawnee Avenue. I grew up in Goddard. I attended Goddard schools K through 12. So I have recently come back home after living 8.5 years in Germany. My husband pastored a church over there that served the American military population, and I still own a speech therapy clinic there that serves American military kiddos. But I have bigger sights in mind. I have a building that I've purchased in the industrial park in Goddard, and I'm going to be opening a multidisciplinary, so speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy clinic. Hopefully, this is where you all come in, hopefully March 1st. I'm currently waiting on rezoning, but in talking to Mr. Scoggins, I know this is an item on the agenda for next month that you're going to be voting to maybe loosen the definitions for the rezoning or for the zoning restrictions. So that's what I'm here tonight to just say yes and amen to that. I would love to see that happen next month so that I can open. When I moved back here, I had really, it's great. I got my kids back in Goddard schools. I've got 2 at Goddard Middle, 1 at Oak Street. And I'm in the industrial park, and I thought, okay, we've got Universal Products, we've got these manufacturers. What do I want to manufacture? And it's hope. So my company name is now the Hope Factory. And like I said, we're scheduled, hopefully, pending the zoning to open March 1st. On the 26th, I'm going to be co-sponsoring an evening at the Wichita Thunder game, and that's already in production, and they've already been advertising for the Hope Factory and Goddard. There's been lots of attention coming our way, even though you all didn't even know it yet. Lots of people are getting their eyes set on Goddard, and so I'm just excited about what that part of town could become if the restrictions were lifted a little bit. So that's really all I came to say tonight, just to introduce myself and to say that that's what I would hope you all would vote for next month.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Jennifer Walk, W-A-L-K, and it's the Hope Factory LLC will be the business. You can find me on Facebook. So thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Anybody else? Seeing none, okay. We'll move on to item E, appointments, proclamations. Select the mayor. Okay. We need a
Open the floor for nominations.
okay, so I open the floor for nominations.
I would like to nominate Mr. Zimmerman for mayor.
No seconds are required.
I'd like to nominate Hunter Flanagan.
So we have any other nominations? Seeing none, now we have a roll call vote for the two candidates.
Well, which one do we start off with?
Well, you just, Councilmember Zimmerman.
I think those.
Yeah, we just go down the list.
Are you voting for yourself?
I guess I have
Hunter.
Vote for myself.
Hunter.
Larry.
Can we go through that one more time real quick? So Zimmerman,
to.
you voted for,
Himself.
okay,
I voted for him.
okay. Hunter voted for Hunter. And,
Brad voted for him.
okay. Got it.
Now it's nominations for vice mayor.
Well, I'd like to nominate Larry.
Nominate what?
Guess we start off with you again. Is that the only nomination we have? Vice Mayor?
Okay. We just roll call. Michael.
Larry.
Vote for Larry.
Larry. I guess I'll vote for Larry.
All right. Sounds good. So this is, what terms do these end again?
2022 to 2024.
Okay. All right, sounds good. We'll move on to consent agenda.
Well, we have a third one, which is recognition
Oh.
officially of
Oh, well, okay.
Lance Beagley as chief of police. So as you're aware, Lance was appointed the interim chief on July 19th, 2021, and has served in that capacity since, and has served us nobly, and as such has earned the faith and support of not only the city's executive staff, but also I know the elected officials on the bench, and that is why, with the support of the organization and our elected officials, we made his appointment to chief of police official, as was announced last meeting, and now it's officially recognized, as we kind of wanted to surprise him. So Lance has spent over 20 years in law enforcement, including 15 here in Goddard, so we're excited to have him grow from within the organization to its highest spot, and now we're proceeding forward to fill the appointments that are created underneath now. So, thank you, Lance.
Lance? Okay. Now we'll do consent agenda. Guys have any issues with the minutes for accounts payable?
Motion to approve this consent agenda.
Motion by Brent,
Second.
second by Sarah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Do item H1, consider sale of ground.
Go ahead. No,
Want me
I
to
just-
do?
no.
You? You?
Tonight at the Roxbury.
That's right.
Could wear those colors if you want.
No, please don't.
This is item H1, sale of city-owned land. This is 199th at Goddard Road and 23rd. Quick background, the city of Goddard owns 2 lots that are generally located around 23rd Street and 199th Goddard Road. These lots were sold to the city around the year 2000, and when they were sold, they came with restrictive covenants that were filed with the Sedgwick County Register of Deeds on the 28th day of July 2000. These covenants prohibit certain types of developments from being located on the land. A violation of these covenants would force the land to be repossessed by the Baptist Church organization that sold the land to the city, or to the Heart of Kansas Southern Baptist Association that assumes the property in the church's absence. Mayor Larkin, Community Development Director, being myself, met with the Heart of Kansas Southern Baptist Association on August 17th, 2021, and again on August 27th, 2021, discussed the restrictive covenants. The Heart of Kansas Southern Baptist Association agreed to releasing the restrictive covenants on the city-owned land for $15,000 or 50%, whichever is greater, of the proceeds from the sale of the land, should the land be sold. Mr. Bob Armstrong owns land abutting the city-owned land to the east. He is desiring to buy the city-owned land if he can go through the due diligence period of getting it rezoned. He would like to rezone it to an R2, similar to his own land, to build more duplexes in line with his thoughts and desires. This would require a due diligence period of around 100 days. That gives them plenty of leeway. Due diligence is basically saying that if you want to rezone it or any other type of entitlement processes, that due diligence period allows you to go through that entitlements. And so 100 days would give him plenty of time to go through the rezoning process. Prior to paying the full amount of land, he has agreed to a good faith amount of 10% to hold the land while he goes through the rezoning process. The land currently hosts a community garden on one of the lots, which the developer has agreed can remain in place for 1 year while the city acquires and relocates the garden to another suitable location. So the City Council is considering approving the sale of city-owned land in agreement that would release the covenants of said land. There's a total of 2 lots. Total gross acres is around 4.03. Total gross square footage about 175,000 plus. Current zoning is R1. Proposed zoning is R2. We're not going through a rezoning right now. I'm just telling you what the rezoning is proposed for. Purpose is for duplexes. This is the city-owned land right here in blue. This is Mr. Bob Armstrong's land he bought from a Mr. Pio Hernandez. It's Goddard Road 23rd. The community garden is right there in the center. Financially, proceeds of the sale minus the cost given the Heart of Kansas Southern Baptist Association will be distributed into a CIP account for the new community center and garden location purchase. Legally, it's approved as the form. It is recommended that the City Council authorize the mayor to execute the sale agreement of city-owned land, parcel number 00254507, parcel number 00490662 to Mr. Bob Armstrong, as well as the Heart of Kansas Southern Baptist Association to release the covenants agreement. So that'd be taken in one motion. Questions? Comments?
Me and Micah negotiated with the Baptists, and I'll tell you, it was pretty tough. So. Any questions?
In the discussion with Mr. Armstrong and the agreement, the existing community garden will remain in place for the 2022 growing season. And as you are aware, and we've reported in previous city administrator reports, that we're working on securing a new location for the community center where it's envisioned the community garden would go. And we anticipate the community garden having the infrastructure in place by 2023 growing season, so they should not be out any of the growing season during that duration. So should minimize the disruption. And we've also, with the existing infrastructure in place with the trees, are working with Brady to identify which ones can be relocated by tree spades. So the efforts that have been put in there will essentially be relocated to the new location.
Any idea how much that's going to cost us for the Baptist to pay them all?
Yeah, it's going to be $15,000 or 50% of the sale of the land is how much it will cost to release those covenants for the Baptists.
And it's just a voice vote.
Questions? Concerns?
Make a motion for the sale of the land.
Motion by Larry,
Second.
second by Michael. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Item H2.
So this is item H2. This is the final plat for Tanganyika Wildlife Park Edition. So quick background, Bachman Company, PA, submitted a final plat on behalf of the developer, Jim Fouts. This plat is for the Tanganyika Wildlife Park Edition, which sits on land that was swapped with the city in 2019. This plat is part of a greater process to rezone that land as a planned unit development, or PUD, and constitutes part 3 of 4 to accomplish this rezoning process. The Planning Commission approved the process to rezone this land to a PUD on 12/9/2019. The City Council will need to approve the final rezoning once a final design plan is drafted. City Council is considering approving a final plat for Tanganyika Wildlife Park. The plat is for one commercial lot. The acres are around 27. Proposed zoning is a PUD, and it's step 3 of 4 for rezoning to a PUD. Final engineering for the drainage and all other necessary factors for building placement and detention requirements will have to be met before building permits can be pulled for this development. Engineering was reviewed by Baughman and by Harlan 4-Acre City Engineer. If any design changes that are being proposed for the final design plan would require detention, then that would have to be taken into account. This is the final plat. Financially, none. Legally, it's approved as to form. It is recommended the City Council approve the final plat for Tanganyika Wildlife Park Edition. I don't know if Phil Myers here, Bachman. Oh, hey, Mike. Oh, Thomas Joyce. Well, what a pleasure. Thomas, do you want? Are you going to represent both?
Yes.
Okay, come on up. So Thomas Joyce is Baughman. He represents Jim Fouts and Baughman Company for engineering. If you have any questions, feel free to ask him.
Are they planning on putting more buildings up in there then, or?
Speaking with Jim, right now it is supposed to be animal pasture ground, probably primarily for hoofstock animals.
Ain't gonna be any tigers roaming free in there?
No, sir. So before working at Baughman, I actually worked for Jim as a keeper out there with those tigers. So yeah, they're secure.
Say, I just had a comment I just saw on this. You know, the drainage from our wastewater lagoons, or actually the discharge from the wastewater treatment plant does cross that property, I believe.
Yeah, so we've got that in a reserve there on the south. Yeah,
you do. Okay,
yep.
So it's not like you can shut off our drainage there.
Yeah,
we're still will be permissible to have that go across that piece of property.
Yep. Yeah, aerial is out in Reserve A.
Is the aerial photo available, Micah?
I don't have the aerial photo, no, but
I did bring the drainage plan if you want to.
Oh, that's okay. I was just looking at the aerial photo and happened to notice that. So
yeah, that south boundary is a little close to that.
Just as long as is that whole thing a reserve? That the flag part of that lot or whatever?
No. So the reserve is just that south 80 feet.
Oh, okay. I'm talking more like up here at the north end, this little flag right there.
Oh, yep.
Our drainage from our wastewater lagoons crosses that area. And so I don't know if there's provisions in there or we can add something. I should have mentioned it to you before now, Micah, but we could add something there to allow that drainage to continue to cross there. So
I guess you could approve it contingent upon.
I think it's something we
additional
can.
Provisions for stormwater to cross that north portion.
I know we're going to work out the drainage in the future, depending on what they propose to do here.
Yeah, there's so much fall throughout that whole site.
Right.
It could be in one giant lot.
Right. So, and it might just be a small, narrow easement. Mm-hmm. You know, we could add to the plat easily enough. So,
yeah.
I think we can work through that condition if they would agree to that tonight. I don't think there should be a reason to hold anything up. So.
Okay.
Motion to approve the H2 recommendation.
Motion by Brent.
Do we need contingent on the?
Yeah. Contingent on the water drainage.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Brent.
Second.
Second by Michael. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. I think you're
I know.
representing number 3 as well. This is item H.3. This is the JAL final plat. So Baughman, once again, company has submitted an application for considering a final plat for the development of the ground located at Main Street in US 54. The property had a restaurant and gas station located on it once upon a time. The property was unplatted, and the City of Goddard subdivision regulations require all new developments to be on platted land. Planning Commission voted to approve the final plat for the JAL subdivision contingent upon final review and approval for drainage by the city engineer. This was recommended by the Planning Commission on August 9th, 2021. Article 3 stipulates that how all new structures must exist on platted land and or built or restored. And Article 9 reflects similar for platting and except for anything that would be considered exempt. City Council is considering approving a final plat for the JAL subdivision. The land is unplatted, must be platted. Current zoning is C2 General Commercial District. Gross acres 2.64. Total number of lots 2. Planning Commission approved on August 9, 2021. So this is the Secretary of Transportation, KDOT, on this portion over here. JAL Investments, or Aaron Schnook, owns this portion down here. Through an agreement between KDOT and Mr. Schnook, they've kind of remapped it to reflect it as such, where JAL Investments will get this bottom northeast corner, and Secretary of Transportation, or KDOT, will get this northern portion over here. The platting reflects that. And you'll see here in the southeast corner is the retention requirements that were agreed upon by Baughman and the city engineer. Scooters will be going into this portion over here, and we don't have anything defined for this area quite yet. Financially, none. Legally, it's approved as to form. It is recommended that the City Council approve the final plat for the JAL subdivision. Once again, Thomas Joyce, Baughman, representing the developer.
Well, I'm excited to see them do something with that property, so that's great. I got no questions.
I'm not exactly sure where that is.
Cedar and Main. So this
Next
is
to Pizza Hut.
Main Street over here.
That's
Here's
what
the
truck stop.
Station and Gerard's used to be.
Oh, okay.
That way.
I seen 119th on there, I'm not sure what that was all about, but that's just a company address.
Make a motion that we approve the final plat on the JAL subdivision.
Motion by Brent,
Second.
second by Michael. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Thomas, if you like, you can stay or for the rest of the evening.
Honorable Mayor and Council, what we have presented here is a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Kansas Attorney General's Office to release and assign opioid claims to the Kansas Attorney General's Office, and to authorize staff to certify the cost attributable to substance abuse and addiction mitigation in excess of $500. In 2019, several of our state's largest cities and counties participated in a class action lawsuit that's occurring across the country to file lawsuit against multiple manufacturers and distributors and pharmacies for dispensing opioid products for damages related to opioid abuse addiction and associated enforcement and treatment costs. In the last legislative session, the Kansas legislature adopted House Bill 2079, which essentially said that the Attorney General's office is handling all the claims, and the reason why this is these companies would rather deal with 50 AG offices rather than, I mean, there's 105 counties in Kansas alone, and how many cities in each county. So it's a single point of contact, and that's what this legislation does. It's also creates a Kansas Fights Addiction Fund to provide grants to cities and not-for-profits to prevent, reduce, treat, and mitigate substance abuse and addiction. Companies currently settled in this first round is McClellan, Cardinal Health, AmerisourceBergen, and Johnson & Johnson, formerly Janssen Pharmaceuticals. The resolution authorizes the city to enter into the agreement and waive any future claims, but future claims will essentially be negotiated on the city's behalf by the Attorney General's office, because again, they're the centralized location for this. It authorizes staff to certify our costs associated and related to opioid abuse treatment and mitigation in excess of $500. Authorizes staff to complete the necessary documents to access the settlement funds on behalf of the city. We don't know the exact amount yet, as the settlement for the state was apportioned by population, with 75% going to the cities and municipalities that actually participated and incurred costs related to the class action lawsuit, with 25% going to the remaining cities within the state that qualify and adopt this resolution. Our costs associated are primarily police department and municipal court costs. In talking with Chief Beagley, we spend about $900 a year just for our Narcan and inventory stock for that, which essentially negates the effect of an opioid overdose. So, just that alone, without thinking of, the jail fees, attorney fees for indigent defense, and items related to overtime incurred for the prosecution of such things. All of these could potentially qualify, and that's what we're looking at. So it could be a fairly significant amount, at least. The long and the short of it is there's money on the table that we could potentially receive to offset costs that we already have fixed costs and incurred costs for. And so by participating and adopting this resolution, we're able to gain access to not only this current round, but future rounds as well. And we didn't have to incur the litigation costs.
Well, I'm in support of it. So, you guys have any questions?
It can be adopted with a voice vote.
Make a motion to H4 recommendation.
Motion by Brent,
Second.
second by Michael. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay.
Will be resolution 2203.
Item H5 is our annual reports. Just to reiterate our community vision, which is Goddard, a vibrant community, growing and accessible, the destination of a family-oriented active lifestyle. With the mission of the city being to work cooperatively and efficiently to provide a vibrant community that's growing and accessible for our neighbors, we aim to be a destination for a family-oriented active lifestyle. And the values of the departments that you'll see here are coalesced as people first, stewardship, solution-oriented, collaborative, efficient, and effective. And, I think particularly the top half of this shows that we want to be servers, and we realize that we are temporary occupants of our positions that the public has charged us with, and that we are to work collaboratively, effectively, and efficiently to be solution-oriented. We utilize our strategic cycle, and you see this all the time, but what we try and do is integrate our employee goals all the way back in through the budget process and into our mission, vision, and community vision. And with that, I'll turn it over to Terry.
Good evening. So, staff prepared for 2021 over 2,251 pages in briefing materials and agenda items for 26 sessions. The City Council adopted 17 ordinances and 37 resolutions. And thanks to the City Council, we now can provide those digitally. I'm sure Councilmember Zimmerman remembers when we would print off hard copy packets for everyone, and the police would deliver them to each one of your doors. We had 147 items processed, and like I said, cereal malt beverages issued. We had 5, same as last year. Liquor licenses 3, and fireworks sales permits, we had 6. Accounts payable, staff issued 1,337 checks, covering 1,908 invoices. Total financial disbursements were $7,367,945, and those were all reviewed for the 2021 year. Utility billing, we've increased our utility billing customers from 1937 to actually 2022. And sewer customers from 1848 to 1948. Actually, there's those are reversed on the chart there. We sent $11,479 in bad debt from utility billing, and we collected through set-off $5,014. The balance of bad debt has increased from $29,486 to $35,947. Municipal court, 2020 was pretty slow because of the pandemic, so the number of cases processed for 2021 was 993, 402 over the 2020 cases. The number of defendants increased by 415 over the prior year at 970. Total revenue from court fines rose by 81,295, and court costs rose by 14,460 to 31,599. Human resources, we've done all that we showed earlier with actually 2 less employees than we had the prior year. Vacation hours did increase from 28.23 to 37.17 hours. Sick hours remained pretty close to the same at 16.97. Overtime hours also pretty close at 23.45. And COVID hours did decrease from 1234 in 2020 to 390 hours. And that is all I have. If you have any questions. Not?
Good evening. For the 2021 annual report, as you can see, our mission statement has not changed. To preserve and protect the safety and the well-being of all individuals in the City of Goddard through compassionate public service, and we shall project through our actions the pinnacle of integrity, honesty, fairness, and compassion to those we serve. We are currently authorized for 14 sworn members and 1 civilian employee. We operated below those levels most of 2021 due to resignations, illnesses, continued military deployment, and a light duty. We had 2 new officers hired in 2021, and 1 started the academy. We're currently only down 1 position right now, so we are hiring. We still have 1 on Navy deployment and 1 member on light duty. Police Department vehicles for the fleet section here, we have them assigned to individual officers who are not on a probationary status for take-home vehicles. This practice reduces the wear and tear on cars and assigns accountability to the individual officers. The GPD fleet currently consists of 13 marked and unmarked units. And this year I transitioned the former detective Chevy Impala to use for the city staff by the city planner. Current fleet has our vehicle numbers, our year, and the model, as well as the miles. There's a decent array there of vehicles, and we'll be adding probably 2 to this year's purchasing. Even the 33, the 100,000 miled out Charger is still running just fine. So we've been happy with the Chargers. The newer Explorers, we are very happy with, and I hope to purchase 2 hybrid Explorers this year. I had to go ahead and order them ahead of time because they're so far, like pencil them in. So, for the 2021 crime statistics, thankfully no homicides. Assaults and batteries were up. We had 22. That's an increase of 9 from last year. Sex crimes was also an increase at 11, which is an increase of 10. Auto thefts increased slightly. Thefts were 43, which is a decrease by 16. And also a decrease with burglary at 9, which is down 2. An increase on DUIs, which is an increase by 9. Financial frauds, financial crimes, that was at 22, which is a decrease from last year by 12. Outside assists, 159, that was an increase of 52. And drug arrests were 40, which is an increase of 13. Warrant arrests also increased in 2021 by 34 warrant arrests. Calls for service. So this is a fairly accurate number, but still hard to actually pinpoint when you talk about calls for service. Most of these numbers come in from 911, and I can go through the logs and still see when an officer puts themselves on a call that may not be them. It excludes traffic stops, and it excludes most self-initiated building checks. So that was still 2,364 calls for service in the year 2021. Total cases is 928. That's a slight increase of 57 from plus 57 more cases from 2020, and a daily average increase as well. Daily case average is 2.52 per day. Obviously, there's going to be some slower days, some busier days. 97 alarms that we handled in 2021, 76 animal calls, and 252-ish fingerprints that mostly our civilian staff handled. Cases by quarter, you can kind of see how we have slower. Quarterly 1 was 162, quarterly 2 is 255, quarterly 3, 275, and quarterly 4 was 236. Traffic crashes also were an increase from 2020. We had 1 fatality. Total crashes was 85. 13 of those was injury, 65 non-injury, and 1 non-reportable but a courtesy crash. So of the 85 crashes, 48 of them were involved closely with US 54. We had 706 citations issued, 924 warnings issued, and 24 motorist assist. Training, I like to kind of highlight what training we have throughout the year. I don't obviously include every single training that we attend because there's a lot of routine training, but some of the highlights for this year were I attended a conference for the Americans for Effective Law Enforcement. It was a 3.5-day conference. It's very attended well by a lot of instructors, and it was very educational. We had 2 members that attended the medical legal death investigation. 2 more members of the department became child passenger safety technicians, so we have 2 more people who can technically and safely and instructively help install car seats and give instruction to parents on how to instruct them or how to install them safely. And former Chief Ferris and myself last year went to and attended all the classes that were at the Kansas Association of Chiefs of Police Conference. Community outreach and events. Obviously, we operated under the philosophy that each of our employees is an ambassador for the police department. We don't just have specific community policing officers. We all take part in that. We look for opportunities to partner with our community, businesses, and schools to leave a positive impact on those that we encounter every day. Because of the positive attitude for our officers, of our officers. With respect to the community engagement, we enjoy a great reputation with our community. Kind of a little timeline of some outreach and events that we did. I spoke to Goddard High School law enforcement classes over video conference early in the year. That was all day, all the classes that they had just at Goddard High. Officer Perez attended the fundraiser for Mrs. Coles, or at Mrs. Coles, not for Mrs. Coles, but it was a fundraiser Mrs. Coles had. Dairy Queen also had a fundraiser that Officer Perez attended. We had a very successful and great weather National Night Out in August. And Halloween trick-or-treaters, we treated them to donut holes at the trick-or-treating event at Pathway and Dove Estates, and we got rid of every single one of them. And no, it was not by the cops. 2021 achievements, they're pretty basic overall. We have a pretty good cadre of in-house instructors, and we continue to transform our training to a level that's producing proficiency in required disciplines. And by having in-house instructors, they are able to provide a instruction not only at a certain time period, but every single day. It was still challenging, obviously, with some COVID remaining and having some impact on some training. It did influence what we could attend for venues and certain events, but we obviously did meet our required training. The goals for 2022, promotion of a lieutenant, sergeant, and also sergeant positions, and we have one open officer position to fill. We want to enhance our policing capabilities by utilizing some more technology and intelligent-based practices, to continue development of in-house training, specifically increasing firearms and defensive tactic skills, and to continue expanding our community outreach and educational programs, specifically certifying more officers for bike patrol. Just a final slide there, thanking you guys and lady for our support and the community support. It has been a very well supported 2021 year for us by the community, and we appreciate that. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
I favor.
Yes, I always bring official things.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing in it. Sorry. All right. So as you can see, our circulation stats went up this year quite a bit from 2020, but we even bounced back and we're over our 2019 numbers. So we've bounced back and grown a lot. We even grew during the pandemic, but we've bounced back and grown a lot this year, or last year. So with 503 new patrons and 415 programs offered that I gave you guys the annual report up there. If you read through all that, it gives you a lot of details. We had 48,628 people attend our virtual and in-person programs this year. We did start doing in-person programs in the library again in June, and we're still continuing to do that. We brought back our wine and color, which has been like wine and yoga, wine and board painting, and all this kind of stuff. So we're trying to do some different things with that. Everybody's really enjoying them. So. Computer usage was actually down quite a bit, computer and Wi-Fi, but our interlibrary loan numbers are still going up. So we're pretty excited about what's going on. I had a hard time getting everything fit on this slide. So this is all of our partnerships throughout the year of 2021 with grants and summer reading donations and bookmobile donations, and we did the Elms kits and our new garden out front, and then our seed library and all that, and we distribute the disc golf kits with the stuff so you can go play disc golf and all that stuff. So yeah, we have all those people helping us out this year. And because of all those donations, we were able to do the elm kits and the disc golf kits, and we upgraded our sign. We got a new logo, which is the one in the middle there. And that was actually paid for with a grant that we got. We were able to provide the Beanstack app to use for summer reading. We got several laptops. We've got Wi-Fi hotspots, several that are going to be going out. Now we're actually going to pair, we got Chromebooks. We qualified for the emergency connectivity fund, so we wound up with 5 Chromebooks and 5 hotspots to add to the 2 hotspots we already had, and we're going to pair 3 of the Chromebooks with a hotspot for checkout. We had an intern for the summer that was paid for by the Public Library Association. We had a donation to purchase one of the Tanganyika wildlife passes, and then the library purchased the other one. Those checked out. Each of them, we had 2, and they checked out 75 times each. And that was, we didn't get those until like late May, early June, so that was only for part of the season. It wasn't the whole season. And we still had a waiting list of 9 people who hadn't gotten it yet. So those are very popular. We're looking for people to want to sponsor those this year. They've gone up a little bit in price. So obviously we got the RV with the grant to become a bookmobile. We're still working on that. Still looking for sponsorships for that as well. The new garden, the seed library, and our story walk was actually the one that's out at the park and onto the trail. It was actually purchased with grant funds. So lots of things. And then our summer reading programs, we do have a digital website now that's all of our digitization stuff that we're doing right now is going to go on to, so that'll be easy access for anybody who wants to look at cemetery records and other old Goddard photos, stuff like that. We're getting that stuff on there, and we got a grant for that too. So, and our community survey results. We actually did this at 3 events, plus we had it online. National Night Out, Fall Fest, and Christmas on Main Street. We asked people. So one of the questions we asked was, would you support a new intergenerational community center library in Goddard? And 99.2% of people said they would. Then we asked them, what library resources do you feel we need to support the community's economic development and efforts? So they want quiet study spots, space to work remotely, and teleconferencing, which we don't really have any places to do that right now. So, and then what community amenities do you think are important for enticing people to move into the community? And those were the responses we got. Big space for rent, obviously library, parks, all that kind of stuff. So I was happy with, we got a good, because we did it out in the community, we got a lot of different responses. It wasn't just patrons that we got responses from, we got it from the whole community. And if they weren't from the community, most of them, almost all of them, were in the school district. So I think 20% were outside, but so yeah. But the biggest thing still was that we need bigger space for the library for programs. We had 71 people attend our New Year's Eve this year in our little space, so that was fun. Packing them in there, but that's it. Oh, and I did do this. Most of you got this. This was for the advocacy stuff for libraries because we are essential. And we are selling these as a fundraiser. They're $25. They have our new logo on them. So if anybody wants one, come see us.
Thank you, Ed.
Oh yeah, and the Friends and Foundation is having their first big fundraiser. It's that, I gave you the stuff.
Yeah.
It's the gala.
Okay.
Eisenhower's putting on the play, and it's an interactive murder mystery comedy, and we're serving an Italian dinner. And
At which school? Which one?
Eisenhower's doing the play, but we're doing it at Pathway.
Oh, at Hathaway.
Yeah, all that. If you scan those little QR codes, it gives you the info and the tickets.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you can go.
Meeting, Mayor and Council. Public Works 2021 year-end report. Staffing and certifications, right now we have 7 filled positions and 1 open position. Our certifications include 1 wastewater class 2, 3 water class 1s or higher. We have 4 with class A CDLs, 3 AFOs, and 1 with pesticide and chemical use certification. Fleet and equipment, currently we have 9 trucks. 3 are 10 plus years old. We have a 2012 Dodge Ram bucket truck. Obviously, we have the 350, the Tahoe, the Chevy 3500, and the 2 Dodge Rams council approved in 2020. Fleet goal for 2022 is to purchase another fully outfitted 1-ton truck, similar to the Dodges. We'll see what options are out there and take bids at a time. Equipment-wise, we have the street sweeper, 2 dump trucks, the 92 Ford and 97 International, which is currently inoperable. We also have 2 backhoes, one of which is also inoperable. It's a 2000 555E. It's pretty long in the tooth. Of course, we have our 03 John Deere. We have mowing and other equipment, and then a piece of equipment that was approved this year that we use all the time is the 21 Vermeer Hydrovac trailer. That has been a great tool for us. It's been like I said before, it's a force multiplier in my opinion. Get more work done with fewer people. Some of our statistics this year, pothole repair was about on par with prior years. We did 545 this year. We will continue on that. You'll notice there are lower numbers in the fourth quarter because when it gets cold, that the cold patch doesn't stick in the holes, so we've got to wait till it warms up a bit most of the time. So at 804 lane miles, we installed 26 signs. Now this does not include the signs the 25-mile-an-hour signs in the neighborhood. We installed quite a few of those, and I failed to put that on there. Water service shutoffs, we did 98 of them. We did 923 rereads. We had 1 water main break. We used just under 210,000 gallons of water. That is about 500,000 gallons shy of last year, and last year's big water use was the splash pad during COVID. We did not replace any valves this year. We exercised 24 valves, and that's something we're going to hit a lot heavier in the upcoming year. 533 water sewer locates. Those will increase, as well as Rustic Creek. They start building houses there, phases in other subdivisions, and the new IC development gets going to many more of those. Average well depth right now is 40.52 feet. That is right about where we were last year. I think we were at 43 last year. And our average daily inflow at the plant is 431,500 gallons, and that is a brief uptick from, I think, 420 last year. Some of the highlights and achievements for 21. In the wastewater and sewer side, we cleaned sanitary sewers in Old Town, and that was actually a 2-part job. Part of it was done in December of 2020, the rest was done in January of 2021. All of Old Town has been cleaned at that point. We rebuilt UV vessel number 2 at the wastewater treatment plant. And as every year, we submit our bi-monthly samples to KDHE, and we met all our sample requirements. In the water side of the house, the 500,000 gallon above ground storage tank was cleaned and inspected. That's got to be done periodically to make sure the cathodic protection and whatnot is in place and it's in good shape. Well number 4 was rebuilt. It received a new liner, column shaft, and pump. Well 7 was pulled and was converted to a submersible pump. And something down here doesn't mean anything other than over time, water service lines and stuff break. We repaired nearly 100 water service leaks this year. And that keeps the guys pretty busy. And that vac trailer, there's a picture of vac trailer out on site, and that makes those water service leak repairs so much quicker than it did. We don't even have to get a shovel out half the time. If we have utilities in the way, we don't have to call locate. We can just spray all the stuff off, suck it out, do our job. It's been a great tool for us. Parks, we added 12 benches to Linear Park. You'll remember the incident with the gentleman writing his name in the concrete pads. That was in 21. The pavilion was clean, stained, and sealed, and I think that was something that needed to be done. It looks a lot better now, and it'll protect it. We rehabbed the merry-go-round and the swings at Means Park.
And then this was more the Boy Scout project, but I like to put it there because everybody loves seeing that community center repainted. Put a new sign on there. It looks good now. Looks good. And then, as always, we do in twice a year. And I just put November here, but in April and November we do what we call a citywide cleanup. We have the trash dumpsters out at the Public Works site, and we let the citizens come in. We unload their stuff. We normally fill those dumpsters up full. People really enjoy that, and they really take advantage of it. On the streets, we installed 25-mile-an-hour child safety signs. Thatcher worked with us on that. And here's a picture of what the signs look like there. And that is actually the one that is nearly in front of Councilmember Leland's home. So I went and took a picture of that one on purpose. We extended ADA sidewalk on the south end of Main Street and made it ADA compliant. So you can walk down both sides of Main and cross and keep going. We also installed an ADA ramp and parking in front of the Doggy Boutique. We were noticing there were a lot of more elderly patrons in there, and they were having to walk around and step up the curb, so we took care of that for them. And then, as always, we sweep streets. We sweep them a lot in the fall because leaves in Old Town in particular. So you'll see them out a lot. See the sweep out a lot in Old Town in the fall. Our 2022 goals. Going to hopefully bring some things to council that will help us increase our wastewater treatment plant efficiency. Help us continue to make our numbers and treat as we grow. Another priority this year will be aesthetics and beautification in the city parks and right-of-ways. We're going to want to focus on that. And then in this market now hiring people, I want to hire that other person to become fully staffed. Thank you.
So we saw a 10% increase in single-family detached homes over 2020. So we've seen a steady increase that way. New multifamily homes, we saw a minor decrease. Roofing and siding, minor decrease. And then mechanical, we saw an increase. Total permit value, $143,797. Tap value, $2,023. And project value, about $33 million. So in the fourth quarter, we issued 28 single-family detached permits, which is higher than last year's fourth quarter by 65%. The city also issued 6 multifamily permits for the year. Total permit fees, $143. Once again, $223,000 for tap fees. And then total project value for 2021 was $33,262,446. Nuisance abatements, as you can see, when it's colder, there's less nuisances, and then they increase during the warmer weather. City worked on 61 code violations throughout the year of 2021. Mowing violations accounted for the highest number at around 38%, and code violations increased during the warmer months and declined during the colder ones. Development activities, so this is 2019, 2020, 2021. You can see that there was a slight increase between 2020 and 2021 from 66 to 60. Small decrease in multifamily and commercial, small decrease. This is the average cost for single family. So in 2019, the average building permit we saw was $219,000. In 2020, it was $233,000. In 2021, it was $299,000. So each delta percent increase was 6% from 2019 to 2020, 28% between 2020 and 2021, and a 36% increase between 2021 and 2019. So that's a dollar difference of around $79,000 between 2021 and 2019. Scooters came in, and we got a new vet clinic. So in 2021, the city had 4 commercial building permits pulled. Some of the permits was $31,000, $10,000 for tap fees, and $9.1 million of evaluation. Scooters is, I'm not really sure when that's going to actually be built. They're getting it through MABCD right now, and then we'll see a building permit. Vet clinic has come in at $2.5 million from MABCD, and they will pull the building permit shortly. Planning Commission Board of Zoning Appeals, we met every month. We have 4 conditional use permits, 1 variance, 8 plats, 2 rezonings, 6 subdivision changes, 3 site plans, 1 special use, and 8 other. In October, we had a site plan for the veterinary clinic. November has a special use application for restaurant and bar, and a conversion from accessory to principal structure. And then in December, we had a conditional use permit for a carport, a variance for a carport, the rezoning for ICT, conditional use permit for an accessory apartment in the county, preliminary plat for Tingley Wildlife Park, and final plat for Tingley Wildlife Park Commission. That's it for me. Questions?
What was that $2.5 million building starting with?
The veterinary clinic. So the vet is what was the gentleman's name? Skip Coster. So Skip Coster owns a veterinary clinic over there off of Frontage Road. He's outgrown that space, and so he's building a brand new veterinary clinic just around the corner at Casado and Martins, and it was valued at $2.5 million from MEBCD about a month and a half ago. So the site plan was approved by the Planning Commission, and after it's approved by the Planning Commission, they have to submit the civil drawings to MEBCD, Metropolitan Area Building Construction Department. They value it, and they send us basically the small town form, which says that it's valued at this much, you need to collect X number of dollars from the contractors, and we remit half back to MEBCD, but we're going to be collecting around $19,000 from them for a $2.5 million new veterinary clinic at Casado and Martins, so it's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
If I'm not speaking loud enough, just tell me to be louder. I'm recovering from an ear infection, and I still can't hear out of this ear, so I'm unable to appropriately judge the level of my voice. This is our financial summary that shows fund balances beginning at the end of the year for all of our operating funds. General fund has had a year-end fund balance of over 1.9 million, which is approximately about 5 months of operating cash on hand. So, again, we get our first big chunk of property tax probably next week. So we're in a good operating position there. The water fund is just under $600,000, and water or sewer and street funds both had fund balances at or above their annual budget for last year, so they're healthy as well. We'll probably be transferring out excess cash balance into reserve funds and equipment reserve during the next 2 budget cycles. The library, I always try to get that down to zero at the end of the year, but we didn't budget enough additional budget authority for them to use up all of their revenue. Because basically what happens is when we receive property tax distribution, we're always getting back taxes. So taxes that were owed the prior year or several years prior end up coming in later. And we've been getting so much of that this last year that it was more than we were budgetarily allowed to distribute to the libraries. We had to hold some of that cash, but I put enough into the budget this year, I should be able to pay that all back to them. Because there's no point in us holding on to their operating cash. So revenue expense history for the general fund. The top half here is just our revenue for the year. So our budget was 3.4 million and we got 4.2. So taxes were up considerably like they have been the last several years. This is just a graphic showing the fund balance over the last 2 years, or 3 years probably. This is just a breakdown of general fund expenses by department. Police obviously is our biggest operating cost center still. Water fund revenue expenditures for the year. You'll notice that we had a large transfer, and that was because we no longer make the full debt service payment out of this fund. We actually transfer it into the bond and interest fund because we refinanced the water and sewer debt. You'll see the same thing here on the sewer fund. The transfers increased above what was the prior year just because we're transferring that to make those debt payments. We're transferring to the bond and interest fund now, so that'll be reflected. And it was reflected in this year's budget. It'll be reflected going forward in these reports. And this is the street fund. We have been, like as you can see, we're still got too much fund balance there, and that's because the last 2 years we haven't been able to use the full amount of our capital outlay line item, which is our street maintenance program. So we're planning to address that this year, next year, and the year after with doing larger street maintenance projects than we have traditionally in the past. So it'll be more than the $200,000 that we usually budget for that. That's all I have. I just want to clarify that these reports are preliminary. We're integrating that new billing software online billing software that I spoke to you about a couple meetings ago. And so far, we've had a lot of headaches getting that transfer done. So we've got a lot of outstanding credit card and internet payment transactions that we're having trouble clearing. So the financials are not 100% done, but they should. The numbers I presented tonight were within, a couple $100 of where they will be. There's just some additional interest earnings and things like that for the month of December that will be reflected. So I will present a more complete financial report when I have that closing for the end of the year done.
The last one, the highway and street fund.
Yeah.
Fund that we're gonna try to fix the front of the road, right in front of Vermeer. Or have you guys figured
Not
something out?
usually, but we may end up
Well,
needing to use some of it.
my kind of plan is to transfer out that excessive fund balance into the capital improvement fund. And so that way we'll be able to use that for bigger projects like that. So we've got, I said, we've got plenty of cash there that we want to use for street projects. It just may be funded out of capital rather than out of the operating fund.
You can see the Starbond site construction with the view of the hotel roundabout, the child care facility, the water park with some of the slides exiting and entering the building, the hotel, and you can just kind of barely make out the competitive swimming portion with the health club there. You can't see it from the road, but Thatcher's drone footage here shows the preliminary design for the 5 baseball fields for Phase 2. Our current residential subdevelopment with nothing really new over last meeting. You can tell they've made significant progress in Arbor Creek at the community building, and they've started work on the pool. View looking to the south and what's Phase 2 with 55 lots there. Cloverleaf, Phase 1's 50 lots. Those are completely constructed. Phase 2 is now underway. As you can tell, there's 46 lots in Phase 2 with Phase 3 being 34 lots. Just some aerial photos. The photo on the right looking south with the Starbond at the top of the picture in the background. And this one's looking more south-southwest across the length of the development. Elk Ridge, looking essentially at the final phase to the south, you can see at least partially every lot in that phase in this image. And you can tell that they're all but 2 are under construction, and all of them have been sold. Rustic Creek, the roads are going in, and you can see access off of 199th. Upcoming agenda items. In February, we'll have our equity and benefit fee discussion. We'll have our multi-factor authorization compliance consideration. We'll also have the Chamber's community events report and update at that time as well on February 7th. And we'll continue our budget outlook and capital improvement discussions then as well. And then just some administrative cleanup, community center update, and discussion on our sign regulations on the 21st. And that concludes my report if there are no questions. Thank you.
Well, Larry, what do you have?
No, not a whole lot. I think that the maintenance department did a good job on salting down the streets and keeping them scraped off when our last snow. Appreciate that. And keep up the good work, I guess. Thank you.
Michael? Yeah, thanks for getting after it again. You guys work really crazy hours. Appreciate it.
Guys, work hard, man. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, you guys did a really good job. I've seen lots of police presence around. My filibuster goes off all the time, you know, so had to slow it down.
We can take that.
Congratulations, Larry.
Are they just watching your house?
There might be something wrong with it. If you want me to check it, I can take it.
You know, I'll tell you a small story. There was this one time on, I think I was like a hydraulic, and I was speeding, and I knew it. And you know, and they were sitting there talking. Well, I turned real quick, and I went around the block, and I came back around. I said, sir, I think something's wrong with my speedometer. Will you check it for me? And he goes, yeah, there might have been something, you know. He did me again, you know, and I went back around. He told me how fast I was going.
Well, I don't have much to say other than thank you to all the departments. You're all doing a great job. Thank you for your reports. And thank you. Congratulations, Larry. And thanks you to the rest of the council for putting both me and Larry in our same positions we've had. So that's all I have to say. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I guess we'll I'd like to reiterate my congratulations to Lance.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Larry, second by Brett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.